Hello everybody and welcome back to the Modern Green Bay and Western, and we're back working on the Highway 45 Overpass Bridge project. Here we got GB&W 224 hauling an extra train of stacks and racks to the Mason Street Intermodal Yard in Green Bay. We're going to work on building some abutments for our bridge, putting in our pillar in the middle, and doing a little bit of scenery around it to blend it in. So I'm excited to finally finish up this project, and hopefully this video isn't 45 minutes long, but if it is, it's the final one. We're getting her done. Let's get into the project. So the easiest part of this project is going to be getting this installed. As you can see, it's just a little too tall with that, so I'm going to have to dig down into the foam. It's about 1/8 of an inch that I have to dig down into, but I plan on just white gluing it to the deck of the bridge, so that way if I ever need to rearrange this or use this bridge on a different layout, this isn't super permanent as if I use super glue. And it should hang free even if I dig too deep down into the foam. And there she is. On to building abutments. My original plan for the abutments, until about like 2 minutes ago, was to scratch build them like I did here on the Embarrass River Bridge. These are just made out of styrene and painted and weathered a little bit. What I decided to do was to kit bash them, and I'll tell you why. So I was about to make measurements to see how wide my abutments should be and how deep they need to be, but I realized this is the perfect width right here. And I realized I had 2 more piers that I have not used, and considering the abutments in real life on this bridge are very simple boxes, I figured I can use the leftover ones to make abutments, and they'll be the right size and width and shouldn't take as much work as scratch building them, and I'll be able to use over the leftover parts for my kits. So thought this was going to be scratch building, but we're actually going to be kit bashing some abutments. One thing to know here, because the bridge on this side meets the hill at an angle, this is going to be a little different and going to require a little bit more work. So the abutment will be coming from here going straight across and will be wider on this side, and therefore will have to be a lot deeper than on the south end of the bridge, which will be a fairly simple box at the end of the day. Alright, we're over here on the workbench, and here are the leftover parts from my bricks bridge. I think what I'm going to use is 2 of these to make my abutment on the south end, because it doesn't need to be that tall, and then we will use this flat piece to make the top, and that's very simple. So now that the south abutment is done, I gotta work on the north abutment over here. At first, I was unaware how I was going to measure to see how deep it needed to be on this side right here. Because of the backdrop here was kind of getting in the way of my ruler, and I wasn't sure how far out it would need to come and whatnot. When I realized I can just measure the underside of the bridge, which is why the bridge is no longer here and back on the workbench. So here's the south abutment. I found that a nice round number is that this is 1/2 centimeter here, so that makes my life pretty easy having a nice round number there, even though it's the wrong unit of measurement. So on the underside of the bridge, I'm going to mark where 1/2 centimeter will be. With pencil, and in centimeters that's going to be 1.5, which works for me. Doesn't need to be 100% because there's some room for error on the whole thing. So that's how my abutment will look. So this will work great because of the depth. This side is already that 1/2 centimeter, so I don't have to worry about this side. It will be this side that matters. I figured I will just use another one, cut this to length, and then I can glue it like that, and that should really make it look real nice and square, and is the best use of my existing parts. Scribe it with my X-Acto hobby knife. Should break. Snap. File it down a bit. A little bit of super glue, and time to put it together. Do our best to make sure that it's square. Alright, and time to let that dry. So for the top of the abutment, I'm going to use some styrene. There's no really big piece that I can use for the top of the abutment in the kit. So I'm just going to put it on there and mark out how big it needs to be on either side. I think I'm just going to draw. And then I'm not going to do the curve because you won't see it from the top. I'm just going to make a straight line from one edge to the other. And time to cut that out with a hobby knife. It appears to be the right size, so time to glue it on. And then it's time for some paint. There's just a little bit more back here. Okay, we're in my totally not a cardboard box spray booth, and we're gonna spray our abutments. This is Tester's Light Aircraft Gray, same color I used for the bridge, and I think a really good concrete color, so I recommend it for all things concrete. Oops. Guess I learned for small items you kind of gotta put something there so they don't get just blown over by the spray. You live and learn. Okay, here's how the abutments look now that they're dry and completed. Not super interesting, but simple and look like what they should be. So we're going to test fit the bridge in, and I'm just going to draw some lines as to exactly where I want it, so I know where to start working on putting the abutments in. Again, the south side is going to be much easier to do than the north side. Here, I'm not going to use the abutment as my guide because it's hard to do with the backdrop in the way, but we got some general marks as to where we need them to go. That way we know what to do with them. So we're going to work on the south side first. Should be a fairly simple operation. Just going to use the X-Acto knife to cut it out. I don't want to cut too deep on the back side. Now, let's test fit the bridge on that. Hopefully it's all centered where it's supposed to be. Maybe a tad smaller than I wanted it to be, but overall, the realistic looking abutment. Here's a close-up of it. Maybe I could have made it a little higher, but I'm not really worried about that. This side looks good from the outside, and looks good on the edges. Doesn't need to be anything more than that. The north side of this is going to be a little harder. I think we're just going to have to make some cuts and a little trial and error that we're going to have to go with. Okay, the north abutment it is in. In order to get it to fit quite right, I had to put the south one just a little bit farther over to the left, but not a big deal. So make sure everything lines up nice and straight and looks like it should. We'll rough in some scenery, and then we'll have to go closer up with some scenery to kind of fill in the gaps and stuff. So what exactly does base scenery entail? Well, just like my last video where I was working on Foxy Sneak Off, we're going to paint the foam brown. We'll throw a little bit of real dirt down. It doesn't have to be everywhere, but just enough places to make it look like there's some dirt and underneath the ground foam. Then we're going to lay down some ground cover. We're going to wet that down with wet water. I've decided to go with a spray bottle. After the last video, I kind of decided the dropper wasn't really working. And then we're going to use some scenic cement that I've made to hold it down in place. This will be just enough to kind of give us a base that we can then put the bridge over and put more detailed scenery on. While the scenery dries, I'm going to work on the abutments. They just need a little bit of weathering before they go on the layout so that they look like they've been there for a little while. I'm just going to use some weathering powders, give them a light weathering, and The bridge is also going to get some light weathering attention too in the form of some chalks. Back to my state-of-the-art spray booth, and I learned my lessons. I put some tape down so that these would not blow away when I spray them with my dull coat, which is why we're over here. Spray everything down with dull coat. To install the abutments, I'm just using a little bit of white glue on the inside. Make sure that it's level with the top of the hill. And the same concept on this side. Alright, now to finish up the scenery. And one last thing to do is to put the bridge in. There we go, there's the completed scene. I did a couple things off camera, one being planting some trees obviously, and then also I gave all my coarse ground foam that I threw down a quick spray with hairspray to kind of make sure that it all stays in place in case the scenic cement didn't get in there all the way. Here's some pictures of trains going under the bridge on both the main line and the switch to Granite Valley Forest products. Overall, I'm very happy with how things have turned out. There's still some details that need to be completed, but we'll get around to those. No project on a model railroad is ever completely completed. So I'd like to thank you all for watching this series, which has taken months and is in 3 parts. But I'm really happy with how everything turned out. Thanks everybody for watching. Please like and subscribe. Check out some more videos on the channel. If you got any concerns, leave a comment down beneath, or if you got any questions, leave a comment down beneath. I look forward to seeing everybody in the next one, and have a great week. Bye.